All right, big round of applause. Stefan, come on up.
When I was in the 7th grade, my grandmother died, my dog died, and my parents got separated within 3 weeks. And I dealt with that along with puberty by wearing a gray zip-up sweatshirt and gray sweatpants every day to school. I just wanted to disappear. I didn't want anyone to look at me. I also kind of stopped doing all of my homework except on the bus ride to school. I was pretty smart, so I was able to sort of, get away with it. And none of my teachers knew what was going on, but some of them sensed it, and they'd be like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm totally fine. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone." And one day, I handed in a lab report to Mr. Conforti in pencil. Now, if you know Vito Conforti, you know that that's a terrible, terrible move. Vito Conforti was my advanced science teacher, and he had some rules. One was that he had the coolest hair in the room. He always was in the room using Aquanet, like, and this is a science lab, so there's open flame everywhere. But he didn't care, But what he did care about was you did your lab report in pen. And that was his rule. And I'd handed in this lab report in pencil. And I'd handed in and I forgot about it, because I had other things going on. Like my life was falling apart everywhere. And a couple of days later, he asked me to stand up in front of the class. And he says, "Stephen, can you stand up?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And so I stood up. And he was like, "What's this?" And I was like, "It's my lab report." He's like, "How'd you write it?" And I was like, in pencil. And on the top, there was a 10. He hadn't given me a 0, he gave me a 10. And I remember that to this day. And he walked it around the classroom. And he showed it to each individual person. Now the thing is, a couple of weeks before this, we had all taken the SATs, all of our smart kids, and I had done really, really well. And it was I was singled out and sort of celebrated for this, and which I didn't like. I was like, "Please don't look at me." He started to scream at me, and he started to say, "Kids like you make me sick. You think because you're smart, because you were born smart, that you got some reason to just do anything you want, don't you? Don't you?" And I was like, I couldn't really believe that this was happening. And I was sort of like, no, that's not what it is. And then he said, "And look at you. You can't even take a shower. You're wearing sweats every day. You're an embarrassment." And I started to cry. I just lost it. And so much had been going on, and I hadn't cried, And I just lost my shit. And I'm crying and crying, and he goes, "And you little pansy, look at you. Look at you. You're such a piece of crap." Now, the thing is I was a pansy. I was a slob, and I felt like a piece of crap. So he was just bringing everything I was trying to hide out in front of my advanced science class. And I remember Lisa Vicens, God bless her, she says, "Stop it." And he turns to her and he goes, "I will talk to you later." And he walked up to me and he goes, "You need to pull yourself together, son. You're a mess." And thank God my legs moved. I just got the fuck out of there. I'm running down the hall of Jonas Salk Middle School, tears streaming, and I run right into my social studies teacher, Mrs. Phillips. And she goes, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" And I told her exactly what I just told you. And she cradles me in her arms, and she had these huge breasts, huge, huge breasts. And my mom is very warm and very loving, but she's also very thin, so I wasn't used to this. And so she hugged me to her. She said, "You come with me, you come with me." And so I go into her room, and she says, "You listen to me. You are a sweet, smart kid. And if my son turns into half the man that you're going to be, then I'm a lucky woman." So a year later, Mr. Conforti ran the talent show, and I was determined to have the guts to be in the talent show. And so I'm waiting in the wings, and Kim Roberts has just danced to "I Want to Have Some Fun" by Samantha Fox. And I was getting up to sing "Empty Chairs at Empty Tables" from Les Miserables. And Mr. Conforti was introducing me, and he said, and now one of my favorite students, Stephen Strafford. And it all started up, and I was like, not gonna be able to do it, and I was not gonna be able to do it. And Mrs. Phillips is in the front row. And she's the only person who knows that this happened outside of those kids who never spoke of it again. And I look down at her, and she goes like this. And I sang that song to a smattering of applause. And the thing is, I learned something. There are always going to be crazy motherfuckers who try to keep you down. But you get up and you sing because there are good people out there who get you. Find those people. Thanks.
Keep it going for Stephen. Oh my Lord. That guy lives in New York City. That's like amazing. Another round of applause for Stephen. That was beautiful.